Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Doc at Padama. This time we are going to talk about research title defense. Research title defense. So what are the common questions given to you during this particular activity in your research writing process? So before we continue, I would like to invite everyone to please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Doc at Padama and follow my TikTok account with the same name. Also, we have an FB page entitled Practical Research, and please do share and like this video discussion. I would like to give you two reminders before we start with this particular video discussion on questions related to your research title defense. Number one, we are going to do this particular video discussion using the languages Tagalog and English. Okay? And then during the actual research title defense, I am also going to try and show you where to find the answer for the particular questions that I'm going to give you and how you should answer the questions. So, uulitin po natin, ang ating pag-uusap ngayon ay gagawin sa pamamagitan ng paggamit ng lengguwaheng Tagalog at English at ipapakita natin sa inyo kung saan dapat makita yung mga sagot sa mga tanong na pag-uusapan natin dito sa video at kung papaano nyo ito dapat sagutin. Yung dalawang reminder na sinabi ko kanina, earlier I mentioned that I would like to give you two reminders before we start with the discussion. Number one is make sure that you listen to the questions given to you by the panel during the research title defense. Again, this particular stage, yung research title defense is very crucial, it's very critical because you cannot proceed, hindi kayo pwede magsulat ng susunod na bahagi ng inyong research kapag hindi kayo lumusot dito sa screening ng inyong title. So itong research title defense usually ginagawa bago kayo makapagsulat o makapagsimulang magsulat ng inyong unang chapter hanggang sa chapter 3. Ang tawag na natin doon ay research proposal. So, kailangan nyo makinig dahil kung ano lang ang tanong na ibinigay sa inyo, yung sagot ay dapat katumbas nung tanong na ibinigay. Kahit na alam ninyo kung papaano ito ipaliwanag, pero ang tanong lang sa inyo ay logical. Ibig sabihin, pwedeng sagutin sa pamamagitan ng yes or no, true or false, o sa pagbibigay ng value or data na hinihingi sa inyo, o sa pagbibigay ng mga pangalan ng variables na ginamit ninyo. Ang tawag natin doon is logical, discrete, exact, and specific. Hindi nyo kailangan magpaliwanag. Pero kapag kayo ay binigyan ng kasunod na tanong na kung pwede ipaliwanag ninyo, i-discuss ninyo, ikwento ninyo, that's the time na saka kayo magbibigay ng paliwanag ninyo. Okay, that's number one. Yung pangalawa, dahil kayo ay nagpo-propose ng inyong research title, kailangan ninyong magbasa comprehensively. Ibig sabihin, dapat marami na kayong alam na may kinalaman doon sa research title na pinopropose ninyo. Meron na kayong mga nabasang studies, literature na magpapatunay na talagang meron ngang problema base doon sa title na pinopropose ninyo, na ang mga respondents na kine-claim ninyo sa inyong research title ang mga apektado nitong problema na ito. So, para magawa nyo ito, kailangan makapagbasa kayo. Ano yung mga babasahin ninyo? Yung mga literature studies na may kinalaman doon sa research title na pinopropose ninyo. Okay, now we are going to go to the main discussion of this particular video, which is the questions that may be given to you during your research title defense. Question number one, how is your research title related to you and what motivated you to choose this title? Your question has two parts, but they are related to one another. So again, earlier, binanggit natin, kailangan may pakita natin kung saan pwedeng kunin or hugutin yung sagot sa mga tanong at kung papaano ito dapat sagutin. So kapag tinanong sa inyo yung unang bahagi, how is your research title related to you as the researcher? Ano ang kinalaman ng title ninyo sa inyo bilang research writer? So, we need to have a sample research title, and that is what I have presented to you right now. This is entitled Teacher's Competence and the Academic Performance of Mathematics Students. So we're just going to take this simplified research title para meron tayong maging basihan ng magiging sagot natin dito sa unang tanong. So again, going back to the first part of question number 1, how are you related to your research title? And this is already your research title. All you need to do, number 1, is to present the facts. Present the facts. So, anong kailangan nyong gawin? Ano ba ang current position ninyo ngayon? If you're a student or a teacher. So, let's take situation number 1. Kung kayo ay teacher and you are taking your graduate studies, so ibig sabihin, nagsusulat kayo ng inyong research ninyo as a graduate student. Okay? And if you can present your specific subject in your profession, yung subject na hinahawakan ninyo, which is mathematics. So what you need to present to your panel is, dear panelists, I am currently, sabi natin, present the facts, I am currently teaching mathematics in this grade level in this particular school, and I would like to establish the fact if the competence of teachers, this one, affects the academic performance of my mathematics students. That is why I chose this particular research title. So, well-established na yung dahilan kung bakit ito ang pinili ninyo, hindi, kung bakit, kung papaano ito related sa inyo. And actually, mag-fall na into place yung second question. What motivated you to choose this title? So anong pwede nyo maging motivation? I would like to, if the fact has been established, sabihin niyo through my research, kapag napatunayan ko po na merong relasyon yung teacher's competence doon sa academic performance ng math students, I would like to improve or enhance yung performance pa ng aking mga estudyante by proposing or recommending a program, a plan, an intervention na pwede pong makatulong para mas maging maganda ang performance ng aking mga math students. Okay, so that is again another valid motivation that you can use for this particular question. Now, sabi natin kanina, pwede po ba ito para sa mga students? Halimbawa, senior high school student ang nagsusulat, college student, pwede din. So, kung ang ating sitwasyon naman, situation number 2, ay ikaw ay isang student. Okay, anong klaseng student? Parang yung sa teacher, ikaw ba ay senior high school student na ang strand ay nasa STEM? Okay? Or ikaw ba ay isang college student na math major? O yun yung sinasabi nating kailangan i-present nyo muna yung mga facts. Ito, babalik tayo dito. So kung again, kayo ay isang estudyante na nagte-take ng STEM as a senior high school student or kayo ay isang college student na math major, ito ay pwede nyo ding gamitin. The same sample research title. So, paano nyo i-establish ngayon yung relevance ng title sa inyo? So, sasabihin nyo sa inyong panel na, Dear panelists, I am currently taking my degree major in mathematics, kung ano man yung degree ninyo, then major in mathematics, and I would like to find out if there is a relationship between the competence of my teachers to the academic performance of my class in mathematics. O, 'di ba? So established na yung relationship ng title sa inyo bilang mga estudyante naman, bilang mga estudyante. Okay. Ano naman ang pwede niyong gamitin na motivation para dito sa tanong na ito? So pagkatapos niyong establish yung relationship, ang pwedeng motivation na gamitin ninyo is you want to further improve your academic performance once the research has established na merong kinalaman o merong relasyon yung competence ng teachers sa performance or academic performance ng mga estudyante. Somewhat related to the motivation of the teacher. Yung sa teacher, gusto niyang ma-improve yung academic performance ng mga estudyante. And siguro pwede din gamitin ng teacher na pwedeng ma-improve yung professional competence nila. So kung kailangan nilang mag-training pa ulit, mag-seminar, pwede nilang i-recommend yon. Sa mga estudyante naman, pwede nilang gamiting motivation na gusto nilang mas ma-improve o tumaas, ma-enhance yung kanilang academic performance pagdating sa mga math subjects nila. So again, these are the options that you can use whether you're a teacher, a graduate student, a high school student, or a college student. Okay, I hope this was able to clarify how you should answer this particular question and where you should get or sa ano ang dapat nyong maging basihan kapag ito ang tanong na ibinigay sa inyo during your research title defense. So we are done with question number 1. Question number 2. What are the variables of your title and why did you use them? So again, in order to answer this particular question, you need to go back to your research title. So we are going to use our sample research title, teacher's competence, and the academic performance of mathematics students. So you just need to present the variables that is reflected in your title. And then you just justify, explain why you chose these variables. So in this particular example that we have the independent variable or the IV, and we have the dependent variable. So again, by definition, the independent variable is defined as the controlled variable, or to simplify, this is also the issue that you are investigating, but not necessarily the problem, or not all issues are classified as problems. So, in contrast, the dependent variable, or another, before we go to the dependent variable, another characteristic of the independent variable is that it is not affected by any other variable. Not affected by any other variable. Okay, next. While on the other hand, dependent variable is the one that is measured. So the independent variable is the controlled variable and the dependent variable is the one that is measured. So another definition or characteristic of the dependent variable is that it is the one affected by the independent variable. Okay, so by definition, how are you going to identify the IV and DV from your research title? So in this particular example, that we have teachers' competence and the academic performance of mathematics students, we can see that the first variable, which is the IV, is teacher's competence. So this is classified as the independent variable. While on the other hand, the mathematics students are the one affected by the independent variable. So this is considered as the dependent variable. So we can include the academic performance of these students, academic performance of mathematics students. So how are you supposed to answer the question? Dear panelists, the variables of our research title are the following. The independent variables are the teacher's competence, and the dependent variable is the academic performance of mathematics students. Why did you use them? For the second part of the question, you just present the objective of your research title. So you tell your panelists that, dear panelists, we use these variables because we want to establish and find out if there is a relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable. And this will now tie up with the first answer that you gave in question number 1. So we do not need to go back to what you mentioned or presented in question number 1. So again, this is how you answer question number 2. Question number 3. What are the sources of your data and will you be able to access them? Again, what are the sources of your data and will you be able to access them? So we are going to use the same sample research title, Teacher's Competence and Academic Performance of Mathematics Students. And based on this sample title, what will be considered as the source of your data? So in this particular sample, teachers and students, specifically math students, will be the source of your data. So paano nyo sasagutin? Dear panelists, the source of our data will be the teachers and the math students. So that's the direct way of answering this particular question. But again, you have a second part of this question. Will you be able to access them? Listen to the question. This is answerable by yes or no. Remember what we discussed earlier? So, if you are confident and you were given permission by the school head or the principal to access data from the teachers and from the results of the examinations or grades of math students, then your answer should be limited to yes. Again, second part of the question, will you be able to access them? Yes, dear panelists, we will be able to access or we are given access to these particular sources of data. If you are asked to explain how you got the access, then you just narrate, ikwento nyo lang paano kayo nakakuha ng access, sino nagbigay ng access sa inyo, what were the process that you did in order to get the access, and so on and so forth. So again, it is that simple. So going back, what are the sources of your data? The sources of our data will be the IPCRF. If you are familiar with ICPRF, individual performance of the teachers, and the grade, forms of the math students, which is considered as also considered as part of our respondents, and we were given access to these particular data. So again, that is how direct and simple you should answer this particular question. Okay, question number 4. What evidences supports the existence of the issue and the need to conduct the study? Again, what evidences supports the existence of the issue based on your proposed research title, and ano pa yung mga ebidensya na nagsasabi na merong pangangailangan to conduct the study? So in this particular question, you need to read. You need to read related literatures and studies. And then this particular literature and study should also be reflected in what we call the initial part of your research title proposal, which is the introduction and the background of the study. So usually, dear teachers and students who are engaged and immersed sa research subject or any research activity, kapag kayo ay magpapa-present ng research title or magkikritik ng research title, it is not just the research title per se, not just the research title itself. It should be attached. Meron dapat itong kasamang introduction and background of the study related to the research title being presented. At dito sa loob ng introduction and background of the study, kasama dyan yung mga sources, yung mga references, yung mga citations na nagpapakita ng ebidensya na meron talagang problema or issue na kailangang imbestigahan. Again, in the introduction and background, nandyan din yung ebidensya that there is a need to conduct the study. So what are you going to do? Papaano nyo sasagutin ang tanong na ito? You just direct the panel, guide the panel. Sir, dear panelists, sir, ma'am, in the proposal that we gave, attached is the introduction and background of the study, and part of that are the sources that we use to prove that there is an existing issue related to the research title that we are presenting. So dito po sa aming proposal, meron pong kaakibat kasama. Meron po kaming isinama dyan sa aming manuscript sa introduction and background of the study na mga ebidensya sa mga sources na aming nakalap, na aming nabasa, whether it be literature or study, na nagsasabi po na meron po talagang problema na nag-i-exist related sa aming research title, whatever your research title is. And then there is a need to conduct the study because the effect of this particular issue has already greatly affected the academe, para mas maging mabigat yung inyong dahilan at patunayan na hindi lang ebidensya yung ipinipresent ninyo. Doon sa ebidensya, sinasabi doon sa statistics na ang dami nang naaapektuhan ng issue na gusto nyong imbestigahan. So because of this, you want to conduct your own investigation and try to help solve or resolve this particular issue. So that is how you're supposed to answer this particular question. Now we are done with question number 4. Question number 5. What is the rationale of your study? So based on your research title, the rationale of the study refers to the reason why you conducted the study, why you chose the study, the reason why you conducted the study. So that is what we mean by the rationale of the study. And based on the submissions that you made, together with your proposed research title, should be the introduction and background of the study. With this, the last paragraph of your introduction should contain what we call the rationale of the study. Again, ang huling talata ng inyong introduction on your proposed research title ay dapat naglalaman ng tinatawag nating rationale of the study. So all you need to do is to direct your panelist to the last part of your introduction. So you're going to tell or present to your panelist, dear panelist, may I direct you to the last paragraph of our introduction, which contains the rationale of our study. So this particular part can already be read, pwede nang basahin yan ng inyong panelist, at kung meron silang further question, ay pwede nilang itanong sa inyo on the spot. So you don't need to read it for the panelist, you just need to guide them to the part of your manuscript kung saan makikita yung itinatanong nila, which is the rationale of the study. Now, based from our sample research title, Teachers' Competence and the Academic Performance of Mathematics Students, we have a sample rationale of the study. So ulitin natin, ang laman dapat ng rationale of the study ninyo should be the reasons why you conducted the study. So this should be compelling enough to convince your panel na talaga nga meron dahilan para gawin itong study ninyo. If you're going to ask, Sir, hindi ba parang pareho ito nung question number 1, which is your motivation for conducting the study? Your motivation is based on the factors that we presented in question number 1. While on this particular part, the rationale of the study should be officially reflected doon sa last part ng paragraph ng inyong introduction. Kasi yung unang tanong, yung motivation, para siyang personal. Anong kinalaman nito sa inyo? Bakit ito ang pinili ninyo? Ito naman, ano yung mga dahilan, yung mga basehan ng mga reasons ninyo kung bakit ito ang pinili ninyo. Again, going to our example ng rationale of the study. This study seeks to investigate the relationship between the teacher's competency and academic performance of mathematics students. So you presented the objective and goal of your study to continue recognizing the crucial role of teachers in shaping students' learning outcome, particularly in challenging subjects like mathematics. So nagpe-present na kayo ng inyong argumento na ang subject ng mathematics ay challenging. Okay? It is important now to understand kung yung teacher's competence sa mathematics influences or is related to the student's academic performance dahil nga challenging yung subject ng mathematics. So, I am just showing to you kung ano dapat yung magiging laman. Kapag sinabi nating rationale of the study, you are presenting an argument na talagang ito po yung mga mabibigat na dahilan, sabi nga natin compelling reasons kung bakit ito po ang pinili naming research title na iprinopropose namin sa inyo ngayon. Okay, to continue by examining this relationship, dahil ito yung objective ng ating research title, to establish the relationship kung merong relasyon yung teacher's competence at yung academic performance ng math students. By examining this relationship, the study aims to contribute to the existing knowledge, inform educational policies, kung pwedeng ma-influence hanggang educational policies, then well and good, and practices kung papaano itinuturo yung subject ng mathematics, and identify effective teaching strategies that can enhance mathematics instruction, and ultimately, improve the academic performance of math students. Napakaganda nung sunod-sunod ng argumento na ipresent dito na merong kinalaman dito sa proposed research title. Again, this is how you present your rationale of the study in one paragraph. Thank you. And now we are going to go to our next question, question number 6. Question number 6. What is the significance of your study? Since you are still presenting the research title and not your research proposal, you will not have the part in your manuscript labeled significance of the study. So since title pa lang ito, wala pa sa manuscript ninyo yung bahagi na tinatawag na significance of the study. What will be the benefit of your study and who will benefit from your study? So saan nyo dapat makita yung sagot dito sa tanong na significance of the study? Again, you will have to go back to what we call the introduction and background of the study. The introduction and background of your study. So you include the significance of the study to your argument in your introduction and background of the study. So imbis na gawan nyo ng hiwalay na bahagi na ang label niya ay significance of the study, pwede nyo itong ilagay bahagya kahit na isang talata doon sa introduction and background of the study ninyo. So, ang halimbawa ng significance of the study base doon sa halimbawa or sample research title natin, the teacher's competence and the academic performance of math students are the following. So ulitin natin, ang significance of the study should contain the benefit and beneficiaries of your study. Okay, tignan natin dito sa example na significance of the study. This should be contained. Walang heading na nakalagay na significance of the study. Naka naka ano siya, naka-infuse. Nakasama siya doon sa discussion nyo ng introduction and background of the study. So, this study holds significant implications for the field of education in general as a whole. So, ulitin natin ang focus natin dito should be the benefits and beneficiaries of the study. Beneficiaries of the study. Beneficiaries of the study. Okay. So to continue, specifically in the context of mathematics instruction, by exploring the relationship between the teacher's competence and the academic performance of math students. So, pre-present ka pa lang kung ano yung gagawin doon sa proposed research titles. The research title. The findings can provide valuable insights for educational policymakers that is already a benefit at kung sino yung magbe-benefit. So, pwede magkaroon ng insight, ng idea yung mga educational policy makers in relation sa pagtuturo ng mathematics, administrators ng school including principals or any academic heads, and the teacher training programs. So again, magkakahalo na dito yung beneficiaries. Sino ba yung mga beneficiaries dito? Policy makers, administrators. Ano yung benefit niya? Magkakaroon sila ng insight and to improve the actual teaching and learning method by enhancing the strategy in teaching mathematics and teacher training programs, understanding the specific aspects of teachers' competence that positively impact or affect or is related to the students' achievement in mathematics. This can guide the development of effective professional development initiatives para sa mga teachers, di ba? Para magkaroon sila ng mga initiatives na mag-improve o i-improve yung kanilang mga strategies and approach sa pagtuturo ng mathematics and instructional practices ng mga teachers who are handling mathematics. So nakikita ninyo, nandito na yung beneficiary, sino yung magbe-benefit? So this answers the question who, and this answers the question what. What are the benefits and who will benefit from your proposed research title? To continue, ultimately, the study's outcomes have the potential to improve the quality of mathematics education. So, again, ano yung pwede maging benefit ng inyong research? Enhance students learning outcome. Nandiyan na ulit yung benefits at kung sino yung magbe-benefit and contribute to the overall improvement of academic performance in the field of mathematics, which is already presented in general. So again, the whole part ng significance of the study is presented in general, but still dinidiscuss niya sino yung mga magbe-benefit at ano yung benefit ng mga inclusions niya dito sa discussion ng significance of the study. Again, you don't need to label it significance of the study in your manuscript, but this is supposed to be infused and included sa introduction and background of the study. So ano na lang ang gagawin ninyo para masagot itong tanong na what is the significance of the study? All you need to do, again, is to direct the panelist to the part ng significance of the study in your manuscript and you can ask them to read. You can just ask them to go through the significance of the study, or if they are requesting you To present it, then basahin ninyo yung part ng significance of the study ninyo because it is already reflected in your manuscript. Okay, so next question. Question number 7. What are the ethical considerations of your study? Again, what are the ethical considerations that you implemented and included in your proposed research title? Okay, ethical considerations, yung presentation, ang pagsagot ng ethical considerations ninyo can be presented in two ways. You can either include this in your manuscript, in your discussion of introduction and background of the study, or not. All you need to do is to make sure that you have a copy with you of the ethical considerations that you will be implementing and including doon sa paggagawa ninyo ng inyong research title or doon sa pag-accomplish ninyo yung mga susunod na parts ng inyong research title. What are examples of these ethical considerations? I have three examples that I will be presenting to you. So these are informed consent, confidentiality and privacy, and then research integrity. So these are the most common ethical considerations that you can present. So kung ang tanong lang sa inyo, if you were only asked what are the ethical considerations of your study, all you need to do is to what? To present the actual considerations. Hindi yung explanation, hindi yung definition. Sabihin nyo lang sa kanila, dear panelists, we were able to implement the following ethical considerations, namely informed consent, confidentiality and privacy, and research integrity. Actually, pwede nyo pang dagdagan yan. So ito lang yung usual na lumalabas pagdating sa ethical considerations. Now, if you are asked, kapag kayo ay tinanong o binigyan ng follow-up question na, can you explain to us, can you expound what you mean by informed consent that you used in or that you will be using in your proposed research title? Then that is the time na basahin nyo lang ito. Pwede nyo naman basahin, or another approach to this is you read everything and then you just paraphrase it based on how you understood the idea based dito sa definition. Ulitin natin, you can either read this to your panel or read this ahead of time and then just summarize the outline or the idea or the concept being presented dito sa unang ethical consideration na i-present ninyo. And that is also what you're going to do doon sa susunod. That is why I advise you na kunin nyo lang yung mga common ethical considerations that are implemented. Not unless you are required by your school na magpa-approve sa ERB or Ethics Review Board, then by all means, dapat i-include nyo yun. Okay? So that is how you are supposed to answer this question, what are the ethical considerations of your study? Next question. Question number 8. How is the research method and design relevant to your study? How is the research method and design relevant to your study? So, first of all, again, you need to establish the research method and design that you will be using. So, you can again include this in the discussion of the introduction and background of the study. And then, make sure that you establish the relevance, the justification, the reason why you chose this particular method and design. So in our sample research title, Teachers' Competence and the Academic Performance of Mathematics Students, we earlier mentioned, binanggit natin kanina, na ang gusto nating malaman ay kung meron bang relasyon yung teacher's competence at yung academic performance ng mathematics students. So therefore, the objective of this particular study is to establish the relationship of these variables. Relationship. Okay. You also need to analyze your research title. So this is how you're going to go through that particular process. So we have already identified the independent variable and dependent variable for this particular research title, which is the teacher's competence and the academic performance of the students. So you have the IV, and then, okay, wait, you have the IV for this and the dependent variable. Okay, now, what is the method and design that will be used for this particular study? So we have to establish that first before we can go to or proceed to how to answer this particular question. So the research method that will be used for this particular sample research title is quantitative, and the design will be correlation. The correlation of the two variables, which is the teacher's competence and academic performance of mathematics students. So now that you have already established the research method and design, hindi naman tinatanong kung ano yung research method and design ninyo eh. That is why it's important that you listen to the question. How is the research method and design relevant to your study? Now you need to justify and present the relevance. Okay, how are you going to do that? Earlier, in your previous answers, you have already mentioned factors or elements that would support your justification of your proposed research title. Doon sa rationale, sa motivation ninyo, bakit nyo ito pinili. Now, you can also use that in justifying kung bakit ito yung research method and design na ginamit ninyo. Okay, number one, this is, wag nyo sasabihin, this is obviously quantitative. This is quantitative because you need to measure the competence of teachers and the academic performance of students. That is why we use quantitative research. And according to the definition of Creswell, quantitative is ganito. So pwede pa kayong gumamit ng supporting sources, supporting citation, supporting references aside from your explanation kung bakit quantitative ang ginamit ninyo. Now, for the research design, we used correlation research design for this particular research title proposal because we want to establish the relationship of the independent variable, which is teacher's competence, and the dependent variable, which is the academic performance of mathematics students. That is why, dear panelists, we use the correlational research design. So that is how you're supposed to present your answer for this particular question. How is the research method and design relevant to your study? Okay, next question. Okay, second to the last question. Question number 9. How many respondents will you be using in your proposed research title? What criteria did you use? And how did you get your sample size? Going back to our sample research title, which is teachers' competence and academic performance of mathematics students, we will now try to answer these questions presented in one. This is 3 questions in one. So what are these questions? How many respondents will you be using? That's one. Second question, what are the criteria used in choosing these respondents? Question number 2. Question number 3, how did you get your sample size? So how are we going to approach this particular question to be able to comprehensively answer all of these 3 questions? Okay, question number 1, how many respondents will you be using? You again go back to your introduction and background of the study. This should be presented in the background of the study, which presents the context of your study. Ang number ng respondents ng study ninyo ay dapat nakasulat o nasusulat doon sa background of the study dahil ang background of the study ay naglalaman ng konteksto. Kasama na dyan yung respondents ng study ninyo. Okay? So, in this particular sample research title, we have two groups of respondents. And what are these two? We have the teachers and the students. The math teachers and the math students. So how many respondents will you be using? So this particular question is discrete and specific. So you refer back to your, again, your manuscript, the background of your study. So if you have already decided that you will be using uh, 50% of the teachers, or example, out of 100, you will be using 75 teachers. And then for the students, you will be using 750 out of 1,000 students. So this is 75 out of 100 teachers, and then 750 out of 1,000 students. So how are you going to answer the first part of the question? How many respondents will you be using? Direct. Answer it directly. Dear panelists, for our teacher respondents, we will be using 75 of the teachers out of 100. And for the students, we will be using 750 out of the 1,000 student respondents. Question number 2, what criteria did you use for your particular respondents? What criteria did you use? This is a simple and yet you need to analyze. So this is not the sampling method. The question is asking you, why did you choose your respondents? What were the criteria that you set? Ano yung mga criteria na sinet ninyo na ginamit ninyo sa pagpili ng inyong respondents? Pinili po namin sila dahil ito po ang aming mga criteria. You go back to the research question, research title. And the academic performance of mathematics students. So how do you answer question number 2, or the second part of the question? What criteria did you use? We used these teachers and these students because all of them fit our criteria, which is supposed to be math teachers and students who are taking or who is majoring in mathematics or who is under the subject mathematics. That is your criteria. Dapat ang mga teachers na gagamitin ninyo dito ay mga math teachers which fulfills the criteria. Lahat po sila mga math teachers. And lahat po ng ito ay mga math students. And then the last part of the question, how did you get your sample size? Again, this is not the sample method, the sampling method that you use. Hindi tinatanong yung sampling method, kaya wag nyo nang banggitin yung sampling method. Ang tinatanong dito, paano nyo kinuha yung sample size? What is your sample size? 75 for the teachers and 750 for the students. How did you arrive at these values? Yun yung tanong dito sa last part. So you just explain. Ano ba ang ginamit yung formula in order to get these values, which is your sample size? So again, you can either use Slovins, or if you are not satisfied with Slovins like other researchers, you can use Cochrane. Cochrane. I don't know if I spelled it correctly, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then after that, you can also use cluster sampling and other formulas and approaches na pwede nyo gamitin in order to compute the value. And our favorite is the Rao-Soft calculator, which is online. Rao-Soft calculator, which is readily available online. With this, you have already answered these questions that is presented on question number 9. How many respondents will you be using? What criteria did you use? And how did you get your sample size? Thank you very much, everyone. And we are now going to our last question. Question number 10. The last question, question number 10. What instrument will you be using in your study and how is this appropriate and relevant? Again, we need to go back to our sample research title. So we're just going to copy this and present this here in our last question. What instrument will you be using in your study and how is this appropriate and relevant to the study that you are proposing? The instrument is defined as a data gathering tool, a tool that you use in order to gather data. Before we answer our last question, I would like to review everyone that there are two types of research instrument that you can use in your research proposal. And this is what we call the researcher made instrument. Number one is the researcher made, and the second one is what we call the standardized instrument. Your instrument should be relevant and related to the study that you are conducting and should be based on the SOP that you have already crafted. But in this case, the question is only focused on the general aspect of your research instrument. Do you have any idea what particular instrument that you will be using in your proposed research title? So when we talk about researcher made, literally this is made by the researcher. So this particular research instrument should go through validation or the validation process. And on the other hand, the standardized instrument does not require validation, because this is an instrument that was already used in previous studies and has already gone through validation. And this is similar and relevant in all aspects, in all domain to the research that you are conducting. So parehong-pareho siya sa research na ginagawa ninyo. Sir, pwede po ba itong gamitin kung ganun po yung case? The answer is yes. All you need to do, if you want to use a standardized instrument, you can use it. But you have to ask permission from the owner. Permission from the owner of the standardized instrument. Okay, if you're going to create your own research instrument, then you need to go through the validation process. But in our case, which is the sample research title, Teachers' Competence and Academic Performance of Mathematics Students, we will not be using any instrument because the data that we need is already in specific documents that is already readily available. Again, in our particular sample research title, we will not be using any research instrument because what we will be doing is to analyze a document analysis. So when you do document analysis, the data is already available. In this case, teacher's competence is already available in the document known as the IPCRF. So this is the individual performance for teachers. Okay, and then for the academic performance of math students, they can get the GWA for that particular subject, which is mathematics, and use that as the source of their data for this particular sample research title. So that is how you analyze what particular instrument you will be using, and then how are you going to answer this particular question? So if in this case, we are going to use the sample research title, I am going to answer the panelist by, Dear panelist, we will not be using any instrument for our proposed research title because our research title we already has a form of data source that we will be analyzing, which is yung IPCRF and the GWA of the students, specifically in mathematics. We will be using document analysis for our proposed research title. Therefore, we will not be using any type of instrument, whether it be researcher made or standardized instrument. So that is how you present your answer for this particular question. I hope you were able to get insights and ideas on how you will defend your proposed research title by going through all of these questions. And again, before we end, I would like to invite everyone to please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking or hitting that subscribe button and click that notification bell to alert you when a new video is available, just like this one. This particular video is now available in our YouTube channel, and also follow my TikTok account at Docket Padama, and follow and like my FB page at Practical Research. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless, and I will see you again in our next video discussion. Goodbye.